TikTok.
What's their position with all of this?
Brand activation.
I mean, this might be their moment.
Super fans. Yeah.
This could be huge.
A new frontier. We're back. It's 2024. This is the first episode that we are bringing to you. My name is B. Adamic.
I'm Adam Al-Hilali.
So
what we're going to talk about today.
So we are going to talk about some pressing topics in the music industry right now. The first one being TikTok. Universal Music decided to remove all of its music from TikTok this week. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think it's a good move. I mean, it's pretty rebellious, isn't it? I think it's going to encourage maybe some of the other majors to do the same.
Yeah, I think they'll follow suit, probably.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that is what's TikTok's retaliation? What's their position with all of this? How are they framing all this? Are they going to change the deals that they have with artists? Is it going to be a sign for change, or will they just be like, okay, see you guys on your way?
Yeah, because I suppose initially, obviously, we're all thinking, oh, it's a good time for independent music, but I guess it may even give the independent musicians more leverage because if Universal have now taken the catalogues, Sony are probably going to follow suit. And then, suddenly if they're just left with independent artists, they can just kind of go, well, we're taking our music off as well. And then there's no music and you can't have a platform that has no music.
Exactly.
So I see it as a great opportunity, possibly because it means that if you can't tag your song or whatever you're doing to a new Miley Cyrus or
Taylor Swift or
Billie Eilish, whatever, then, you're going to have to dig a little bit deeper and you'll probably will have to root out some independent artists that has the sort of vibe and style and genre that you want. So it could be a really great thing.
It may well just open the floodgates to independent artists. I mean, this might be their moment. This might be the golden era, the evergreen moment for artists where they can get a lot of attention quite easily. Where once the major label artists have cleared the way, influencers, creators, and other people on the platform that collaborate with artists are going to be more open to working with them because there's less traffic, there's less competition.
Definitely.
So this is actually could be a good thing, a really good thing for artists. And I think as an artist right now, get all over this. Even if you're not on TikTok, sign up, get yourself sorted.
Yeah.
This could be huge.
Exactly. Yeah, it could be huge. I'd love to know people's opinions. So do comment on this video because we'd like to know what you're thinking, and we try and make this as interactive as possible. We'd like to know your opinions too, or DM us because I'd really like to know from you artists, independent musicians, what you actually think about it. So obviously that is quite pressing for us. The other, Adam and I get invited to do lots of panels, and we do quite a lot of virtual sort of chats and things like that. And we've both spoken to quite big audiences over the last couple of weeks. And one of the things that I keep getting asked about is brand activations as a musician. I know we've done a lot around this and we've put a lot of content out around this and how you do it. I mean, we've got a pretty big brand activation going at the moment, haven't we? Do you want to sort of tell us a little bit about how crucial it is?
Well, it's coming just at the right time because interestingly, in the news, the music news recently, they announced another closure of a grassroots venue. I can't remember which one it was, but
there's one every week.
There's one every week. Grassroots venues for artists are closing down.
Yeah.
The old school toilet circuit, the one where you kind of cut your teeth as an artist. They're slowly sort of gentrifying them, turning the properties into places to live as opposed to venues, and I think that's quite sad because there's such a cultural significance to a lot of these venues. They really map a kind of meaning to the area. It's a lot of areas, the narrative of certain areas are built on these venues.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, artists are now, I think, really should think creatively about how they can perform live, maybe look at other types of venue, go off piste a little bit.
Yeah.
It's also an opportunity because with anything like this, there comes opportunity, and I think there is a great way to get more intimate with your fans, as opposed to just playing the beaten circuit that everyone's played. You go to play Old Blue Last or King Tut's in Glasgow or Deaf Institute in Manchester, and 10,000 bands have come there before you. And if you're playing to music fans who don't know your music yet, it's those ears have heard a lot of music. So
that's so true.
It's really tough to get into those fans, because they're in those venues day in day out listening to music.
And with a lot of these places, you're lucky to get a free drink and paid, annoyingly.
Exactly, yeah.
Whereas enter brand activations. We're actually doing a lot in the live brand space this year. Obviously we've got the Bang & Olufsen one out at the moment, which is a 6-week program that we're running for them in their flagship store in London, which is amazing. And it's giving, you know, independent artists a platform, a stage to perform on within their store, and their store is beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely like an alternative, more intimate place an artist could play. Maybe like a stripped down version of their songs might be really good in these sort of settings. You know, the lights are amazing because it's inside a store. It's like so well lit. It's like, you know, you're
retail
up
very
and,
good for their lighting, aren't
yeah, up close and personal with the artists, and it's just a vibe. Like it's a vibe. Like, I think it's different. I think that's what's exciting. And not only that, they'll look after you. The brands are going to give you decent pay for a show. They're going to not, you know, leave you with half a pint and a slap from the mixing guy. They're going to actually look after you, and I think that's a real opportunity for artists and brands to collaborate, cooperate together, share content on each other's socials, become long-term partners. There's a huge opportunity there, I think, for artists right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, you know, I think all the fans that come along to the gigs that we're putting on in interesting spaces seem to look like they're having a really good time because it's somewhere a bit different. A lot of the retailers that we're working with might put on like a free drinks reception, which is always a nice bonus, given, you know, we're in a bit of a cost of living crisis and things like that. So I think it's a win-win all around. And you know, so I did a panel the other day, and that was probably the most popular question, because I talked about brand activations, how important they were. And it was one of the most popular questions where everyone pretty much raised their hand after my talk. They all wanted to know how to do it more. How do we get into it? Tell us what we do. And would you give what sort of key tips would you give an artist who wants to do a Bang & Olufsen show? Where do they start?
Well, with any brand, it's about a partnership and a match, finding a good match, because you want to present your music to the brand that's going to align with you, like aesthetically. You need to almost imagine the sound of that brand and like their soundtrack and how it could fit with yours. So find brands that you think that you could align well with. You know, for example, Dr. Martens do a lot with like punk and indie.
They do,
I think Bang & Olufsen are doing well with like R&B and more chill pop, that kind of stuff. So I think finding that alignment is really important. And also, there's other things that the brands stand for. They might stand for like, you know, female empowerment or sustainability or certain other themes you can attach yourself. You can attach yourself to that theme and present yourself in that way. But it's all about a share of value. I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, and what also might be a good idea is, obviously sometimes it's quite hard to forge a direct link with the brand, if I'm honest, because normally there is a gatekeeper, or there's a middle person, or there's an agent that's representing the scenario. It might be actually to pitch to as many different PR companies or events companies, and just put yourself forward. Like, you know, find an agency like ours. In fact, you know, even get in touch with us if you think that you'd like to get involved, and just say, hey, I'm X artist, I'm based in Cardiff. Is there anything on the horizon for me? Because we're actually working on something across 6 cities, and I'm finding it a little bit of a job finding artists in cities that we don't necessarily work in across the UK. So make that agency's life easier by putting yourself forward, or even put something in your bio or your title saying looking for brand opportunities or anything, or put, you know, the city that you're in or whatever, because you know you want to make their lives easier. If I can come across, you know, 8 different bands in Cardiff that fit a certain criteria and genre, you know, my life's so much easier.
Absolutely.
So brand activations, they are lovely. And brands don't necessarily always want to work with big artists. In fact, they don't want to work with big artists a lot of the time because they can't afford the big artists.
They can't afford it. They're just very selective about how much budget they spend.
Yeah, well, exactly. I'm sorry, they can afford it, but yeah, like, you know, obviously they can afford Dua Lipa, Central C, you know, Georgia Smith and things like that. They want to be seen as innovators and people who are the forefront of music discovery. Okay.
And I think these venues, or if you like, stores, like pop-up stores, are a new place for emerging music to be heard.
Definitely.
And a great like incubator for new music. And I think we haven't really seen that before. This is like kind of a new era. So
a new frontier.
But just like to do a little segue, because I'd love for everyone in the audience to please like and subscribe, because the more you like and subscribe, the more closer we're going to get to bringing on some actual really influential guests that you can have a Q&A with, and you can discuss these topics with on our next show. So don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe, because also if you're a musician or an artist, comment and we can check you out as well, because obviously you've got to comment under via your artist profile. And like us, and then we're going to sort of closely monitor all our followers, and we would love to talk to you if you're appropriate, so please do that. What else are we talking about? I think we were going to talk about super fans, weren't we?
Yeah, I think this also ties into the super fan world, because with a lot of people talking about community now in the music industry. How do I build my tribe, and like how do I like look after my fans? And I think we're trying to change the mindset from, let me just dump my music on Spotify and then play like the toilet circuit venues. It's like that, and I'll get fans. And it's such a beaten track that you're unlikely to get fans, even if you have great music now, because of the amount of music, the amount of competition in these places. So it's all about what you do outside of those things.
Right.
And like fans want to be, especially at the early stage, want to be VIP'd the hell out of. They want to be VIP the shit out of. They want the exclusive. Yeah. They want the pre-show meetups.
Yeah.
You know, the interactive virtual things online, the exclusives.
Yeah.
You know, they want to be able to submit maybe lyrics to you, and then you incorporate it in your song, and like you then share it on your channel.
Yeah.
They want to be a part of this sort of exclusive experience, and I think the more the artist rewards their fans and encourages that kind of thing, the more likely they're going to build this tribe. And that tribe will then be your greatest advocates to promote your music.
Yeah.
So it's not just you anymore, it's your tribe that's going to end up promoting the music. And I think that's the sort of mindset shift. It's like, how can I VIP my fans and really make them feel part of this community?
How do I start? So I'm a musician, and I can see I've got maybe 500 followers on Instagram. And I can see that maybe around 50 people watch my stories every day, 40 people like my posts every day. So I can see that data. What do I do with those 50 that view my stories every day, and those 40 that like my posts every day?
You know what? I mean, one idea, this is one of many, is you could just invite them to a little virtual private show on Instagram.
So you could DM them.
Yeah,
so
DM them.
What you do is you see who they are on Instagram, go onto their profile, follow them, and then DM them, right?
Yeah. DM them to a little exclusive show, or you could even surprise them with a gift. Here's a gift to my mate Dave's, whatever, who's always on my stream, and present that as a piece of content to your other fans.
Wow.
Because it shows that you're willing to connect with the individual, not just the crowd. Wow. And I think those little elements of surprise is what really matters, and it makes a more meaningful connection.
Yeah.
And just constantly resharing, liking, commenting back. Invite your fans to maybe contribute to a lyric or even a duet on TikTok.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of ways you can keep your fans keep interacting with. I think this sort of exclusive feel is really important. You know, I think the putting your music on Spotify and playing the well-known venues is more of an afterthought, really. Yeah. When you think about it, because your fans aren't really built in those places. They're built in all the other things you do around them.
Yeah.
You know, things like a little acoustic rendition before the show, and you've got a little crowd of people outside, and they're just around you.
You'd tell them to meet you at certain
spots, maybe meet up with them just a little bit before the show, because they're there before everyone else, so they get the content no one else gets, right? The fans do, and so they feel that intimate connection with you that other people wouldn't get. So
that's so true.
Because a fan wants to feel special, right? They don't want to feel run of the mill.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a real super fan demographic. I think that there always has been, hasn't there, throughout the music history. But I think especially now there is a certain fan that wants more from their artist. So obviously, you know, they've got the streaming and the gig attending and things like that. But there's and I think there's a lot of companies. We know friends of ours about to launch a really interesting fan club, which I won't name until it actually officially launches, but I think there's going to be a lot of work that goes into whole fan club formation and what that looks like, and I think we've kind of lost it at the moment, haven't we? I think back in the day these fan clubs were massive. Like, people used to write to the Beatles and, like, you know, get letters back, and memorabilia was swapped around and stuff like that, but I feel like it's kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit. So I think it's time we need to start figuring out. And even if you haven't got time to connect with 50 fans, because I get it, as an artist, you've got shit to do. Some of you might have full-time jobs, songs to write, families to look after, or whatever. Even just pick five fans, okay? 5 fans that you're like, okay, you, part of
that's your tribe, right there.
Part of the elite club. I'm going to set up a little WhatsApp group with you all. If you don't want to give out your number, just set up a little Instagram chat with them all. And then you can literally sort of like talk to each other.
Yeah.
That's it. It
And
can just be as simple as that.
And they're your advocates. Those people are going to talk about you in a really passionate way because they're part of this exclusive thing.
Like it's a secret club, you know,
Yeah.
secret club.
And they want to know that they discovered you before anyone else. You know, if you end up becoming the next Coldplay or whatever, then they were there first.
Yeah.
And the irony of it is, as you get bigger, they'll probably leave.
Yeah.
But that's something you can still hold on to as long as you keep that intimate interaction.
Yeah.
So
that's it. So like, you know, all of that good stuff. It's like, so definitely think about you know, tapping into your super fans, your fan clubs. Don't be afraid, okay? Don't think, oh, but I've only been around for a couple of months. You'll still have super fans.
So yeah, it's like 2 hours a day work, right? So maybe
sounds like a lot.
if you're a full-time, I would say if you're a full-time musician, if you're fortunate enough to be, maybe you've got a tiny little part-time job or whatever, but put 3 hours a day. Make it like it's your job, it's your business, right?
Yeah.
You're looking after your brand, you're building, fostering a community. This community is going to enable you to continue doing what you do.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you put 3 hours in? I think that's the thing we've got to wake up to that fact.
That's true. Yeah.
And obviously over time you'll have people that want to work with you, and you'll build a team and so on, and you'll start to lighten the load a bit. But yeah, I think in those early days, just you got to put that grind in. It's all about that hustle. And, you know, and it is tough. Like I empathise with artists that have to do that, because it's like you've got not only that but all the music to create as well. I think try and keep things simple and unique to you. You don't need to do all the things the biggest artists do. Yeah. I think that's the main thing, takeaway. Yeah. You don't need to record on red cameras everywhere. You can record on your phone and go a little bit lo-fi.
And I think what you could do, just thinking out loud here, is like, so if you see that, you know, always the same people kind of like and comment and follow you, your post or whatever, you could actually go, hey, really appreciate you, you know, send a DM, really appreciate you, obviously giving me a lot of support and love in the last few weeks, and that means a lot to me as an artist. I'm actually going to be pulling together a small group of elite fans. Would you like to be within that group? And most people would be like, flatters. Yeah. So, and you're kind of asking them if they don't mind. You're not kind of...
Exactly.
You wouldn't want to add them into a group in case they didn't like that kind of thing.
No.
So ask them, and they'll probably be really, really flattered. So I think, fan clubs are a big thing. And I think fan clubs are going to be the themes 2024, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know a lot of major labels and even Spotify are starting to look at how they capitalise on the whole fan club market. So really kind of get into that and think about that.
I mean, what do they say financially? If you've got 2,000 super fans and they spend £50 a year, that's 100 grand a year. Obviously, you've got expenses. I get it, but you know, do the math. I think, or they say 1,000 fans and £100 or $100 a year or whatever.
And that's so doable. I mean, you've got to think as well.
You're not thinking millions of streams anymore. You're thinking 1,000 fans, actual fans. These are people that like, share, comment, go to your gigs, buy merch, and so that's the difference. We get so obsessed with views and reach and I think that's where we get lost as artists. We've got to focus on the actual human interactions that we have with people, the community.
So true. Yeah. So true. So cool. So I'd love also for anyone to comment and sort of share what their views are on that, and if you've got any ideas. If you do it already, it'd be really good to hear from you. Love to know what you're up to and how you're kind of managing your elite little fan club.
Definitely, we really appreciate you guys. You are the reason we're doing this, and we're here to really try and help you in your early in your career as an artist. And so by liking and sharing and subscribing, you're going to help us grow this channel. Yes. And once we start to grow, we're going to invite some amazing guests on, and you can have Q&A with them, and they'll be there to offer tips and advice and tricks. So
definitely a Q&A and you know, we're going to invite some guest speakers in here, because it's not just going to be the two of us speaking all year. We're going to start, I think the next one we're going to do, we will have somebody. But I think the last sort of area we want to touch on this for this sort of discussion or this podcast is around sort of sync activity. Now, we met some really interesting people in the last couple of weeks around the whole sort of theme of sync. In fact, we met a fantastic woman actually that works for one of the biggest sync sort of catalogue agencies in the UK. Try to sort of glean as much information as we could from her, because we also get a lot of questions around how do I get my music ready for sync? How do I sync my music? You know, and Adam, you actually have quite a lot of experience in this. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your background in sync?
I mean, obviously, I'm not as experienced as a lot of sync artists, but I've got the experience of working with people who day and night create music in their studio for sync production.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest takeaways I could give anyone is just keep creating, because it's never the one track that you can rely on that's going to be on the Netflix or the big blockbuster film. It's always your catalog really that matters. So keep creating more music, and work with a producer or a vocalist who's already in the sync world, already producing tracks for big sync agencies that actually get placements as well. And I'm not being unfair to the smaller ones, but there's a lot of competition for these placements. So if you can get with a producer or an artist or a vocalist or whatever who has already those connections, go for that. And
you mean
partner
I
with
can't
them.
just grab my music and just chuck it over to a sync agency?
Yeah, I mean, you could take shots in the dark like that. No, don't get me wrong, you might get lucky, but I think if you're working with someone already who getting placements, you're gonna have much more.
He or she's
success.
gonna know what's gonna work.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
So I would say that's probably the biggest tip I can give on that.
And what's the first thing you can do to get your foot in the door, just to start to sort of
Yeah, I mean, look around for who's producing music, credits, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You can even pitch the brands yourself. I mean, there's always a agent at the brand, or the manager of the media or the social media, whatever it is. You can actually get some placements with brands, even if it's small ones, like endorsing your videos, or sponsoring a certain
kind of. One key thing, we talked to another agency today called Native. Now they said it's all about having the license to be able to do that. So obviously, if you've written a song with somebody, it's always good to check that you're licensed to do that. So just run off and kind of start pitching your track out there. I mean, chances are, if you're completely independent, you've got no one to sign it off by, to whatever, and you're a free agent, and actually you're in the best position you can be, because actually being someone like a Ed Sheeran, you're like,
hands are tied with so many.
Your hands are tied. You can't, like, even if you wanted your music to go somewhere, chances are you just can't. It's annoying. So you're a completely free agent. So I mean, there's there's sort of catalogues. I put it in a library. That's one thing, isn't it? And then there's the opportunity where actually there's like briefs that come up, and you actually work to the brief. So you've done a lot of work into briefs, haven't you? Yeah. How hard is it?
It's really hard. I mean, the briefs are super competitive when it comes to finding them, and when you do get a brief, you really go for it. Try and be timely as well, quick, and produce what they want to order. And sometimes it can feel like a little bit of a job, but again, if you're doing something that you love doing, and it's like maybe it's a vocal on a track or something that you really enjoy that kind of music, then it's good fun anyway. And not only that, the publishing royalties you get could last 10 years, so you could be earning off those tracks for 10 years. Granted, it may be small amounts, but if you aggregate them over lots of tracks, a whole catalogue, imagine what you can achieve. So
true.
I think the key is to just keep going at it.
It really suits somebody who loves like top line writing or producing or whatever. We know a few artists who landed the final episode of Traitors, big epic songs there that are able to be viewed by millions of people. You could land something like that. Independent artists got the PS5 launched a few weeks ago. That earned them a huge chunk of cash.
Or like the Plinky Plonky kind of theme tunes as well. So you can live off that for the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the friend of ours that did the Crazy Frog.
Oh my God. That's like a ka-ching. In fact, I think what we might try and do is invite a sync specialist on this show.
Yeah, for a live Q&A.
Yeah, so let's get who we're thinking.
So you guys can quiz the hell out of that person, and then we can.
We'll get them on, and we'll get them to come and talk a bit more about that. That will be one of our guests over the next couple of weeks. Cool. Well, I think we covered a lot in this episode, didn't we?
Absolutely,
Everything from brand activations to super fandom to
TikTok.
Sync to TikTok. Obviously, we always want to know that we're delivering exactly what you want to talk about. What you want us to talk about and what you want to hear. So do drop comments to us about what it is that you'd want in the next episode, because we're here for you. We're here to serve the music industry. We want to give back. So I've been Bia Damick.
Adam Al-Halali. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You guys are what make this channel worth it, and
Yeah.
and the more you like and subscribe, the closer we're going to get to having some amazing guests on the show.
Yeah.
So,
like we've mentioned before, we want to bring you the very best in the music industry experts. So actually, we've actually got a couple of guests lined up over the next month, which we're really excited to bring you. But we need you to carry on supporting us and liking and subscribing and telling all your friends and family that we're here. Thank you very much.
thanks.
Bye.